A plea bargain, also plea agreement, plea deal, copying a plea, or plea in mitigation is any agreement in a criminal case between the prosecutor and defendant whereby the defendant agrees to plead guilty to a particular charge in return for some concession from the prosecutor. Government recently allowed the arrangement to be taken on as part of ongoing efforts to reduce the case backlog in the courts of law and the unmanageable number of inmates in prisons across the country. Bamwine started his day at Kigo Prisons with a tour of the facility located some 8 kilometers off Entebbe Road and overlooking the shores of Lake Victoria. During the tour, the prison's officials decried the poor state of the facility, especially the lack of health equipment and drugs in the prison's bay.
Some few drugs, they miss in the supply. But in most cases, the commonest one we have.
As part of the inmates' rehabilitation programs, Kigo Prison has an industrial section where prisoners learn how to make products including candles, soaps and sellable crafts.
Cannot move out, who are just here. And coming from even the peripheral districts that are very rural and most of them are very poor, this helps them to survive in prison.
The prison chief, Moses Sentalo, revealed that Kigo Prison has a staggering 1,437 inmates, with 1,039 just on remand.
The prisoners' population is at 1,437. But I think what is very interesting in this scenario is that the remands are 10,039. 1,039. And that is our holding capacity today. But the established capacity is supposed to be 450. My main challenge here and other challenges are as a consequence of the big number of prisoners on remand. Allow me to tell you that I have 709 inmates committed to High Court awaiting trial, and the oldest case I have is of 2009.
It's listed for accession, and the DPP is not able to call witnesses. We are advising the judge to discourage the temptation to adjourn the case to the next convenient session of the High Court. We want cases to be completed within the session allotted to them.
The principal judge, Bamwine, expressed dismay at the state of affairs and urged judges and magistrates to expeditiously conclude cases in order to ensure justice for the suspects.
There be at least efficiency within the Court of Appeal. I'm going to talk about the jointly charged prisoners.
If one of the accused accepts the case and declares that the rest of the people who are put on the file were not part of the crime, why don't you release the rest? Because here there are many prisoners. Their colleagues went in the previous plea bargain. They accepted the case. They said Mr. Paul Sechizivu, Mr. Sanso was not part of the crime, was brought on the case by mistake.
It's taken to court and sentenced without reaching even consentment, signing agreements, and others convicted and sentenced even when they have opted out of the project without exhausting the trial processes. For example,
the lawyers do not give them adequate representation. And I've received those complaints before. It's not the first time. Some of the lawyers who volunteered to handle this are young lawyers who do not have jobs, who do have nothing to lose. We shall make every effort.
Bamwine spoke of the need for the communities to embrace former prisoners who have been granted freedom on account of plea bargaining.